Hello everybody, this is Fronty Bobbin and welcome to a one-off NASCAR video thing. And today I'm going to be telling you why I don't approve of Stewart Haas Racing going from Chevy to Ford. Like, why? So, let's begin why I don't like the reason. The reason is simple. It's like, you start out as a Chevy team, and you have some pretty good success with them. Like Stewart Haas Racing, they were actually doing pretty good in Chevys. Tony Stewart won 2 of his championships in his Stewart Haas Chevy. And, last year wasn't Stewart Haas's best year. I think, how many wins did Stewart Haas get last year? I don't know. I think about 5 wins that Stewart Haas got last year. I have no idea. So correct me in the comment section and tell me how many wins that Stewart Haas Racing got in 2016. But so Stewart Haas Racing has a lot of success with Chevy. Then they just dump them and they go over to Ford. And I don't know why. Stewart Haas Racing, they do good in Chevys, and then they just dump them and go to Ford. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's like, you have success with one manufacturer, but you dump them anyway just so you can get another manufacturer signed on. Like, what? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. And that's one reason why I don't like the fact that Stewart Haas Racing went over to Ford, went from Chevy to Ford. I don't like it at all. Ugh. Now, if Stewart Haas Racing was a Toyota team, and they decided to go over to Ford, that would make sense. Because, I guess Tony Stewart doesn't really want a foreign manufacturer dominating in an American icon. And so they go to an American manufacturer. Now that does make sense. Hang on, I gotta check it. Look at the time. I gotta adjust it. Alright, we're good now. So, I don't know. But to go from Chevy to Ford, it's what is going from Chevy to Ford? What's going from Chevy to Ford like? Let's see. I don't know. It's like, well, I don't know how to explain it, but just dumping a manufacturer so you can go to another one. Why? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Tony Stewart did once say that Tony Stewart and Gene Haas feel that they will have more success with Ford, and I'll admit, Stewart Haas Racing isn't doing too bad in their brand new Fords. But why go to a different manufacturer when you're having good success with the one that you were with before? Tony Stewart won 2 more championships in his Stewart Haas Racing Chevy. I almost said Ford, but it was actually a Chevy. I don't know. If I owned a racing team and it was doing well in Chevys, I would stay with Chevys forever, basically. If I was having a bit of lack of success with Chevy, I would probably go to Toyota or something, because I don't like Ford that much. And yeah, that's another reason why I don't approve, because I really don't like Ford. I don't absolutely hate Ford, but I just never really liked Ford. I don't know why, but, Team Penske is a Ford team, but still, I really don't like Ford. I just don't. I don't know why I don't, but I never found a true passion for Ford. I've always been a Chevy fan. And Chevy has been my favorite manufacturer ever since I got into cars in general. I mean, like cars, like street cars. You know what I'm saying? And then got into NASCAR in 2011. But that's a story for another day. But still. So the thing is simple. Why don't I like the fact that Stewart Haas went from Chevy to Ford? It's because it doesn't make sense why it's like Stewart Haas, they're having so much success with Chevy, and then they go to Ford. Why? Just why? I so hope that Stewart Haas Racing goes back to Chevy one day in the future, because I pray that Stewart Haas Racing can do stuff in their Fords, because I wouldn't be surprised if Stewart Haas Racing never won a race again. I mean, it's crazy how Kurt Busch won the Daytona 500, and then 2017 Daytona 500 that is, and then Kevin Harvick almost wins the Atlanta race in 2017. I'm talking about Kurt Busch wins the Daytona 500 in 2017 in a Ford, and then Kevin Harvick almost wins at Atlanta in his Stewart Haas Ford. I was so glad to see him get that speeding penalty, because if he didn't, it would have been over. Now, some might say, but Frony, Brad Keselowski won the Atlanta race and he's driving a Ford. Well, it makes sense that Team Penske is a Ford team, because Team Penske is also a Ford team in the Australian V8 Supercar Series, and Team Penske would probably be a Ford team in IndyCar if Ford was in IndyCar. But of course, Ford isn't in IndyCar, but Team Penske, Team Penske, they're a Ford team in V8 Supercars, so that's probably why they're a Ford team in NASCAR. And another thing is, basically the reason why Team Penske went to Ford was because Team Penske used to be a Dodge team in NASCAR, but then the story is that Ford offered Mr. Roger Penske a deal that Roger himself couldn't resist, and so that's why Team Penske became a Ford team in the year of 2013. And since then, Team Penske has done pretty well in NASCAR. Can Stewart Haas Racing do the same thing? I hope so. Because I want to see Clint Bowyer get a win this year. I mean, last year he was at H. Scott, and the year before that, he couldn't win at all. So yeah. Man, this video's been going on for 8 minutes. You're probably bored by now. I mean, if you've been able to stay watching the video at this point, leave a comment saying, I was able to watch the video until the 8-minute mark. Or the 10-minute mark, or however long this video is. And yes, some might say this video didn't need to be 8 minutes long, and I agree. But I like to talk a lot, so bear with me. Bear with it. Deal with it, okay? But I think you get the idea why I don't approve of the reason that Stewart Haas Racing went over to Ford. I mean, they might as well have went over to Toyota. I mean, if Stewart Haas Racing went over to Toyota, I wouldn't mind. But Ford? Why? Why? And JC1424, I hope that you're watching this video, because now you know why I have a displeasure for Stewart Haas Racing going over to Ford. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me why Stewart Haas went over to Ford. And that's why I don't like Stewart Haas Racing anymore. It's because they went over to Ford for no particular reason. No particular reason they went over to Ford. I mean, yeah, Tony Stewart might have said that they feel that they will have more success with Ford. But they didn't really describe the whole meaning of going from Chevy to Ford. And because of that, I lost respect for Stewart Haas Racing. I used to like Stewart Haas Racing back in 2015, but now that they're a Ford team, I've lost respect from them. Yeah. I pray that Hendrick Motorsports doesn't do the same. Like, if Hendrick Motorsports were to switch over to Ford, my life would be over. Simple as that, because Hendrick Motorsports is my favorite team in NASCAR. And if they were to go over to Ford, I would just lose all respect for Hendrick Motorsports. And then Joe Gibbs Racing will be my favorite team, and Toyota will end up being my favorite manufacturer. Because Chip Ganassi and Hendrick Motorsports are really the only Chevy teams that can really win a race. I mean, RCR is dead, and none of the other Chevy teams can do anything because they're all underfunded teams. I don't know. Anyways, this is a 10-minute video. This video, you're probably really bored by now. You probably left this video by the 5-minute mark or something like that. But if you were able to watch the whole video, leave a comment down below. And yeah. By the way, there will be no NASCAR Heat Evolution tonight because I've been doing a lot of stuff today, and I now have no more time to record NASCAR Heat Evolution. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Stewart Haas Racing, you better do well in Fords, or else I will dislike you forever. See you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.